And now I'd like to introduce the Honourable Member, Member of Parliament for Laborie, the Honourable Alva Baptiste. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Chris.
And right into the fire, I want to ask you what you think of DSH, and what you thought of what the Prime Minister, his last utterances that we just played.
The DSH must be comprehended in all of its ramifications. This is not a joke that is going on in the southern part of the island. DSH would impact negatively on the lives of farmers. It would impact on neighboring constituencies like mine. For example, there is this equine disease-free zone where you cannot produce pigs, and goats, and other animals. Mm-hmm. In the community of Auger, more than 90% of families are engaged in farming, pigs, chickens, etc. When you establish an equine disease-free zone, what happens to them? How do they feed the children? How do they pay their mortgages? How do they survive? Is that right to impose externalities on neighboring constituencies, to create an enclave for rich people to come and race their horses? This cannot be appropriate. The area around Maria Islands is a place that a number of fishermen from the area go to. And it creates a buffer against poverty. They go there on a daily basis. They fish, they come back, they sell it, they engage in commerce, and they are able to survive in a very difficult environment. When you decide to go and tamper with that natural resource, again, there is destruction of the lives of many, many people. So in the process, you are going to destroy more jobs than you claim to be creating with DSH. If the DSH agreement was so effective and so important for the people of this country, why when the leader of the opposition laid it in Parliament, there was so much resentment, and so much denial on the part of the government? That's your agreement. You signed the agreement. You're supposed to be happy to tell the people of this country about the jobs that is contained in the agreement as far as DSH is concerned.
But I wanted to state, I wish that the people, when they go, Philip Marsling, put up a big screen, take the DSH agreement and feature the parts of it that give jobs to St. Lucians. They went online and they were saying that they were going to have 6,000 jobs. Then the rebuttal in the estimates part of the budget, he changed it to 1,000 jobs. Then they say it's about 400 jobs with regard to it. And each time it keeps changing. But yet they won't refer to the document. The other problem that I have is farmers and fishermen are independent people. They may work within cooperatives and so on, but they're independent people. It is their initiative. When you turn all of these people and you essentially fire them from being fishermen, you fire them from being farmers, they now have to turn around and come to work and beg for work in your horse race track. They have to come and beg for work in your hotel, in your casino. That's the same mendicant situation that I don't understand.
Yes, no doubt. For example, at Beauséjour today, you have a number of farmers. People who have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's one farmer that invested millions there in some agricultural project. And they were just asked to leave. Where is food security in the equation? Which is one of the main priorities of our country.
$350 million in food import bill.
That's right.
Right, which we were supposed to be trying to reduce. And a prime minister that said he was committed to agriculture.
Yes. So the commitment to agriculture is just, in words. There is absolutely no commitment. A country like Saint Lucia, with limited amounts of flat land, that is one of the constraints that we have as small island developing states. You are taking one of the areas with flat land available for agricultural production, and you are giving it away to a so-called investor for $1 per acre for 99 years. That does not in any way demonstrate any commitment to agriculture in this country.
I have a clip I want to run, which is about land acquisition, if I can get that to run while I read this, so people can see that I'm not just quoting off of my head or making stuff up here. It's called Land Acquisition. This is actually from the Saint Lucia Gazette, Monday, May 15th, 2017. in the matter of notification by the Governor General acting on the advice of Cabinet that part of certain parcels of land situated in the quarter of Miku in the island of Saint Lucia is likely to be acquired for public purpose. Notification, whereas enacted by Section 4 of the Land Acquisition Ordinance, Chapter 5.04, that if it appears to be the Governor General acting on the advice of Cabinet that any land is likely to be required for public purpose, that it is necessary to make a preliminary survey or other investigation of the lands, that she may cause a notification to that effect to be published in the Gazette. And whereas it is considered by the Governor General acting on the advice of Cabinet that part of the certain parcels of land situated in the quarter of Miku is likely to be required for public purpose, to wit, relocation of the Boseju farm to facilitate the Desert Star Holdings project. Now, therefore, it is hereby notified that the Governor General, acting in accordance with the advice of Cabinet, that part or certain parcels of land mentioned in the schedule hereto is likely to be required for public purpose, to wit, relocation of the Boseju farm to facilitate Desert Star Holdings DSH project. This parcel is likely to be acquired for the relocation of Boseju farms to facilitate the Desert Star Holdings DSH project. As follows, block and parcel. Block and parcel 1628B41 JMJ Inc. Now, we have this clip, and I'm showing you that for all those, because again, they're going to come down with queneristics. They're going to try and tell you they're not moving people from their land. All those in Bruceville, all those who are in Boseju Heights, all those in all around, all the way up to Uptown Liquor Store, all around there, they're going to tell you they're not moving you. Well, here you just saw already in the Gazette, the government's official publication, already land acquisitions have begun and they are moving people. I'm trying to understand. Okay, so I get it. It's an easy sell. You just tell people that once there's any development, jobs. And they'll come and they'll have singers, calypsonians, they'll come and they say jobs, you know. And then by the time you check it, in the actual documents, it literally is giving the guy, not only giving the guy absolute rights, absolute discretion in terms of who he hires, but they are already saying that they sign in with China State Construction Company. And, I mean, not just talking about it, and all of these nice drawings there, they're going to be paid for by our passport money.
Yes, but the drawings are not even attractive. You know, when tourists leave the United States of America and the UK, they are not coming here to see high-rise buildings. They are coming here to enjoy the natural beauty of our country. And no doubt, the very tourists we invite into St. Lucia via Hiwanora International Airport, we are trying to compromise their safety by putting high-rise buildings, or saying that we're going to provide high-rise buildings in the approach path of runway 28 and the departure path of runway 10, which according to the International Civil Aviation Organization is not a desirable thing. So what are we going to do? Downgrade our airport, cause wide-body aeroplanes to land in Barbados and shuttle them via George Charles Airport? In the first place, this is why we developed Hiwanora International Airport, to accommodate wide-body aeroplanes. So in essence, we are doing a disservice to our country where tourism is concerned. And certainly, I do not see any high-rise buildings emerging in the immediate vicinity of Hiwanora International Airport. And I do not see any causeway being built to Maria Islands either. I have said so before. I have said it is science fiction, but it is just a pretext to give the land to a foreigner to control for 99 years. And that's extravagantly dangerous. Whilst you have locals who want to invest in their own country, and it looks like they have to go through a foreigner to get access to their own lands.
I was actually thinking, I was saying the Chamber of Commerce that is really doing, to my mind, a disservice to its members, right, should at least insist that the same terms and conditions the Prime Minister seems to be giving to foreigners like Ojo Labs and DSH and Tewa King, at least give the same thing to St. Lucian investors. To my mind, that's what Adrian Oje himself was making the point. But beyond that, let's dispense, because people just don't get it. I want to get to, and this is politically incorrect, I want to get to the brass tacks. The Prime Minister has 5 projects, 2 in the north, 3 in the south, that were negotiated by your government, right? Royalton has come through. 19 acres, $250 million and 650 to 670 jobs have been created. When the Harbor Club comes up, same thing. Jobs, not a large square acreage of land. I mean, it doesn't even look like 3 acres of land that's there, right? Then you turn around, you have at Saint Lucia, you have one that's supposed to provide 250 permanent jobs. And I'm going by what he said, right, in the budget presentation. You have the range development in Black Bay. That's supposed to be 600 jobs. Then you have at Canals, I think the Petroleum Group project, which is supposed to be another 600 to 700 jobs. So it's not like there aren't other projects for the South. But my suspicions and my belief, and I'll be honest, I believe that this DSH project is designed to fail. And it is designed to a facility created so that once they get past a little perfunctory horse race track, so you can say, Belash, they did that. Basically, it's about the passports. They'll start to destroy whatever they have to destroy to begin construction, which we'll never be able to reclaim. And they'll do it in such a fashion that feeds China State Construction Company. China State Construction Company already did it to the Bahamas with the Bahama, where they had to keep going back and forth to court, and now there's like a huge mortgage that the Bahamas now has to pay. So in other words, we'll be indebted to China State Construction Company. And in the meantime, as it says in the buyback clause, you reach $200 million or about there in sales, but you can't sell anymore. He has proven that he has marketed the project and he can't go any further. That basically the escrow account is basically divided up. Now there's a former high-ranking United Workers' Party lawyer that is representing DSH, right? So to my mind, all I'm seeing is a giant slush fund. So however bad the deal is for St. Lucians, there's a giant slush fund that is there for UWP operatives at the highest level to basically be able to take advantage of millions of dollars in passport sales.
Yes, certainly. I mean, this project will not impact positively on the people of the South. It will not impact positively on the people of St. Lucia. It will not impact positively on any job creation in the country. Now, they have started what they claim to be the racetrack. Mm-hmm. So far, heavy equipment is on site. I do not see Norbert Cox, one of their own members from Choiseul, participating in that particular exercise.
Well, from my understanding, the equipment there is a relative of Guy Joseph's again, that might be doing something there.
Well, then again...
So the South has no contractors?
No, I mean, the Prime Minister claimed that he's going to bring jobs to the people of the South. And so far, I do not see any Southerners on site working and enjoying what the Prime Minister is claiming. In essence, he talked about during construction phase, the construction phase, we're going to have between 500 and 800 jobs, right? Mm-hmm. Good. But he couldn't say how many for the locals, how many for Vieux-Fortians, how many of those jobs will go to the people of Choiseul and the other neighboring constituencies. This is just a bluff. This situation is one that is indicative of the fact that all this talk about, you know, having a business approach to governance and, you know, we are going to run government like a business, all of that is absolute nonsense. Because no businessman would give Tioa King all the land, take all the risk, and you have nothing to go by. You bear all the risk and you have absolutely nothing in terms of the rewards that come from that particular project.
Well, in a foreign article that appears in Asian press, it said that the television broadcasts for horse racing in China, because in China horse racing, gambling is illegal, right? But horse racing broadcasts can get up to a viewership of 600 million people. And out of that, we have no shares.
That's right.
And in terms of the actual gambling, we have no shares.
Yes. In
terms of the actual properties that are there, we have no shares, and we have no guarantee of employment of any St. Lucians. But 90% of it will be paid for with the sale of our passports, and Jack Lamb is going to pay for the rest in terms of the racetrack.
This is just a scheme, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the people who are claiming to be concerned citizens and they're matching for jobs, they will realize in the end that there will be no jobs for them.
Well, the thing about it is that whole thing, like I said, if you're telling me that let's say they get 10,000 people, people go down there in droves. Aussie boys say you have 200 buses to go down. No problem, they go down there. They get music, The Prime Minister comes, he gives a little off-the-cuff little speech. He says, I go and I fight for you, and all that type of stuff, and they go, fine. But actually quoting from the document to show that the buyback clause that we are citing in his document is a lie. Show that what we are saying about no employment quota, show clause 5.1, 5.2, 5.1. Don't say that it's a partnership. Show clause 28 where it says that there's no partnership. But I have another question for you. As a man in terms of aviation, I keep noticing that Tewa King is very keen to point to the fact that there's an airport, and while you're landing, you're getting totally surrounded by DSH. Now, they've also given the airports, they asked DSH to look at the airport. If Tewa King and DSH is supposed to be paid, they're supposed to be paid through the sale of our passports, and we are redeveloping the airport through airport development taxes, doesn't that mean that he's getting two sources of revenue if he's doing the airport?
It all depends on the agreement that they enter into with Tewa King. And number one, it shows that the so-called developer has absolutely no respect for development in the country.
Why should
Number
he?
one, for the environment. Now, in China and in other parts of the area that he's from,
Mongolia,
right, people do have respect for history. You'll have a bottle stopper that they discovered maybe a few hundred years. That would be in a museum. But you want to come and destroy everything that you find in Saint Lucia. There was a study done by the Canadians in the late 1960s when Saint Lucia wanted to move into mass tourism. Sir John actually commissioned that study. And it did indicate that we need to protect the lands around the airport, because the safety of the passenger carrying aircraft would depend on the clearway around the airport and enough space to maneuver. In the area of the Maria Islands, we have reefs that assist in protecting Vieux Fort. Vieux Fort is relatively flat.
And in a floodplain.
Yes. At the end of runway 10, I don't know if you pass there on a regular basis, you'll realize that they did some boulder packing, because the wave action there, you know, sometimes would cross the road and threaten the runway. So they had to do some boulder packing to protect it. When you go and destroy the reef, you are going to compound the problem. And we might have to deal with the whole airport development in a new way, driving up costs in a different fashion, that we have to look for money for us to deal with it. Already our debt to GDP ratio is high. St. Lucia is in absolutely no position to enter into that type of agreement where we have a buyback clause of billions of dollars. We are simply not in a position to do that. The Labour Party will never enter office and honor such arrangements, because that arrangement is detrimental to the well-being of the country. It is detrimental to the well-being of the people of the country. No court can sit on a situation like that to see very early, after the Prime Minister signed the agreement, that the people as a whole, because the people's lands, very early the people objected to the Prime Minister signing that type of agreement.
And no consultation.
Putting their lives at risk. They call for consultation. You refuse. Only now that the document has been laid in Parliament by the leader of the opposition, you are running to Vieux Fort to tell them about jobs. Go with the agreement and read from the agreement. If the agreement was so good, the Prime Minister would have felt proud that the leader of the opposition brought it to the Parliament. And he would have utilized that document to illustrate the point that this is something good for the people of the South.
But he's not going down there to talk. It's not like he's going to take
He's just
question
going
and
to bluff.
answer. He's just going to go on a
He's going to
stage
bluff.
with music and
Yes,
sound and do all of that.
The people call for consultation. And obviously,
And they get in a show.
the Prime Minister is not interested in consultation. In fact, the Chamber of Commerce had a meeting in the southern part of the island to discuss the DSH.
He didn't attend.
The Prime Minister was rather conspicuous by his absence.
And up to now, between both Invest Saint Lucia and meetings, that they never used any documents. How can you call people to a meeting and no documents?
It is easy to say anything, but I challenge the Prime Minister to come with the document and tell the people of Beaufort and the neighboring constituencies that the jobs are going to be created for them.
And give them a number.
Yes.
And give them a guarantee. Show them where the jobs for them are guaranteed. Show them that this is a partnership when it clearly states that it's not. Okay. Another thing, and that's why I keep coming back to T.R. King, because in my own just cursory research, I thought horse racing was the #1 sport for money laundering. But I found out it is the #1 way to launder money worldwide. Now, an airport, right, that leads you to a horse racing track, a casino, and condos. To my mind, and I'm just saying how I see it, based on how T.R. King is talking about the airport and its proximity to the venue and to the casino and everything, to me this looks like we are literally setting up, because gambling is illegal in China, we are setting up a little, how should I call it, a little underground economy that is going to set up there so that people can come fly in, do all their dirty deals, get out, whether it's through horse racing or other gambling, get on the plane, come back, that type of a thing, back and forth.
In fact, it is not going to be good for our country. The image of our country today has been compromised. And the country is fast reaching the point where it shall become ungovernable by the United Workers' Party. In fact, people who try to register their dissent, they are intimidated by the government. They are attacked. So very soon after general elections, you find we have a government in Saint Lucia that is isolating itself politically. You need the social partners to assist you in navigating the turbulence of the moment. You consider them to be sectoral irritants. You say whatever you want. You have your friends, United Park, attacking the church, attacking the National Trust, attacking everybody. No respect for the constitution of the country. No respect for the rule of law. The United Nations is viewing this development with great interest. And our traditional friends are also viewing this development with great interest. Already we are confronted with a very complex and fluid world situation where there is a decline in official development assistance. Find that there is the loss of preferential treatment for our agricultural commodities. Foreign direct investment has declined significantly. And the net effect of that is to really reduce the amount of revenue we would have in this country to assist us with our social programs and capital spending. If a jurisdiction does not embrace good governance as one of its pillars of development, foreign countries will not be favorably disposed to send in sums of money, large sums of money, or even whatever sum at all, to your jurisdiction, if they are of the view that it not reach the people that's intended to reach. So we are placing ourselves at a distinct disadvantage by the way that we behave. The United States of America, whether you believe it or not, is a superpower right there. We are in the immediate vicinity of the United States of America. Our main market is from North America, Canada and the US. So they are assisting us economically. Anytime we compromise security arrangements at home, it is going to impact positively. It is going to impact negatively on that relationship between the United States and Saint Lucia. The FAA will come down. Whilst the FAA is the regulatory authority for the United States, by virtue of the aeroplanes flying into Saint Lucia and back to the United States, they have an interest in that jurisdiction. So they are going to monitor what is happening. And that's really unnecessary for us to find ourselves in a situation where we are giving one man the opportunity to dominate this country. And incrementally, T.O. Akim will gain access to even more lands. Because the agreement gave him the free rein to ask the government of St. Lucia to acquire more land.
But But I saw the Prime Minister now, and they say in 3 phases when he signed for 10. Now, if we had phase 2 and it's already 1,000 acres, because it started off at 300 acres, then it was 600, then 840, then 900. Now we're at 1,000 acres. We're going into the ocean, right? We're going into an entire environmentally protected area. And even worse than that is that we get funding from a lot of international agencies, which we will lose with regard to that. So all how I look at it, right? People are, anyway, like I said, it's as if people are choosing to ignore. And you know, that's what seems to be happening consistently. They're ignoring the blatant facts. So instead of the inconvenient truth, even if it's 9 times out of 10 that the government is lying to them, they're hoping that that one time will be the truth. This is politically incorrect. When we come, we'll be right back after this.
Is because you have this dedicated revenue stream. It is not that you necessarily have to spend only $20 million or 10 or 15 million a year. You may undertake road repairs that's up to 100 million a year because you already have that clear revenue stream that is going to go towards the repayment of whatever finances you'd raise for road repairs. So the expectation is that you are going to see a major improvement in the overall road network within Saint Lucia.
The excise tax is expected to come into effect in June 2017.
Queneristics, the Orange March, all outrage over gas, money's been hidden. Where is it? You get into government, you can't find where the money is hidden. But the first thing you do is you put $1.50, you raise the price by 60%. But the part that I like is, and I'm asking all reporters, whether you're at HTS, Choice, DBS, you name it, Calabash, all the radio stations, keep an eye on that $1.50 gas tax, because that should be going to the Ministry of Communications and Works in terms of the roads. And here's the funny thing, there was already a dedicated revenue stream, and that was the increase in the license fees. Now, they campaigned against it, they got in, and they didn't reduce it or take it out. They reduced it by half, but it's still there. So then what's supposed to happen with that? Isn't that supposed to be dedicated in the first place? Again, queneristics. But here's the best part. Guy Joseph, watch it there. Remember I said that. We had a project we were supposed to do under the former administration that was supposed to be dealing with the Castries to Grosley Highway. They went to the Kuwaiti government. And now, wait to see who is going to be doing all of the support roads with that $1.50. That money that's supposed to go will go straight into the hands of the last person you saw speak there. Wait for it. Wait for it. I know Richard Frederick already read it out and pointed it out. They went to the Kuwaitis and they tried to get a little thing. Because again, it's never about what is done. It's about who gets their cut. And the lines are open now. Now, how do you see the whole, how should I call it, the hypocrisy of it with regard to gas?
No doubt about it. What we were doing was actually the responsible thing. We inherited a fiscal deficit of almost 10%. We had to bring the fiscal deficit under control. It means that you are not generating any surplus to invest in capital works like roads. So that was the reality that precipitated the increase in the license fees by $150. They campaigned against it, that they were going to remove it. They were going to cut it by half, bring it back down to $150. The purpose of that was to actually attend in a more decisive way to our roads in the country so that drivers would have a better road infrastructure. They came in, they did 50% of the increase, which is $75. And they increased the tax on the fuel from $2.50 to $4. On average, one would probably consume 10 gallons in a week. 10 gallons by 150 would give you $15.
I have to stop you there, because in the same press conference, you know what Guy Joseph said? I love that line. Eh? They do, people do not buy gas by the gallon. They buy it by the amount.
Well, a guy said that he does not understand why people complain about the price of fuel. He buys $20 gas irrespective of the price per gallon.
take the call. Good afternoon. This is Politically Incorrect. Hello?
Good afternoon, Mr. Hunt.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yes, and also special good afternoon to Honorable Alva Baptiste.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, how time flies, huh? Comrade? 20 years ago to now, would you expect we would have been in that quagmire we are in now?
Not at all.
Yeah, but having said this, very good program as usual, very compact, and in the interest of time, I will not want to hang up the phone. First off, it is heartbreaking with this genuinity of what is happening in the country, the dishonesty, so to speak, as regards to the price of the creative way of increasing the price of fuel and justifying it and saying that from $2 million for the road projects. And the other thing, gentlemen, that is, and it has not come up to the fore. The former Prime Minister at the rebuttal alluded that the current airport tax is illegal, and it was reprieve. And I think when he mentioned it, as somebody would say, not a word, not a word, not a word. And up to now, our media has not expounded on that. I think you are well placed, Honorable Baptiste, to shed light onto that matter. And the other thing I need to leave, how time sometimes when things are written and we do not take note of it. I think it was Tennyson Joseph who first pinned that it was dangerous for somebody to have economic power and also have political power. And I think at the time he had alluded that to the Shasneys. And then it was expounded sometime later on at Parliament when Honorable...
Well, Rufus Busquet also made a comment. I think I have that clip. I'll play tomorrow.
Yes, and also when Mr. Pierre, Honorable Pierre, and he was chastised.
Yeah, down in Soufrière, right?
Down in Soufrière, when that statement was made, the water boy. But it has come back. It has come back to haunt us. And gentle people, I'm listening to everything that is going on. It is so destructive to see what is happening right now, and as though our people have just forget all our reasoning and everything. And I could imagine the kind of carnival atmosphere that will be done there at the Philip Masley Park. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Thank you. Yeah, I would like you to touch on that, what the former Prime Minister did mention with regard to the airports, the tax and the repeal, because it's the same thing with the Tourist Board. Have you all come to Parliament yet to repeal the act that created the Tourist Board so that you can create the Tourism Authority? That has not even happened.
You can hardly keep pace with what this government is doing, because they seem to be, in a kind of a manger cochon. They do as they please. You don't know what laws still exist. They come to Parliament. They do not elect the deputy speaker. They blame the opposition. So it is a whole mess. But I think the most relevant aspect of this airport tax business is really when the UK had imposed the air passenger duty, the APD. We were making a lot of noise, including the current Prime Minister.
Yeah, he was flying up there to lobby.
Regarding the fact that most tourists who come to Saint Lucia, they are price-sensitive passengers. That's why you have the economy class, as being the dominant class coming
on an actual airplane.
Yes, okay. That's right. So you have a few first-class seats, and then the majority of passengers are in coach.
Good afternoon. Sorry. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon to your baby as well. Go ahead.
Let me just first thank Mr. Hunt and Richard Frederick and everybody else who is actually telling us the truth about what is going on. But tomorrow, what I want people to do is to come and listen to the truth. And you have a choice. This thing happening in Beaufort is of no concern to the country because it's just a bunch of lies. everybody should show up in Castries tomorrow at 3 o'clock and show the government that they are St. Lucian, they are Caribbean first, and they care about their land. I don't want to hear nothing about, I mean, when you listen to the spin, it's a shame right now. You listen to Fortuna Belrose talking about jazz, you know, and trying to tell you it's good. I mean, it's a shame.
By the way, caller, you notice, they sent 4 ministers because the budget was such crap, so full of boring for a man that talk about running a country like a business. They made a deliberate plot to go after Sean. Now they catch because they realize Sean never could have signed anything. But now they realize that it's Fortuna that they were throwing under the bus. You notice that, eh?
Exactly. It's a big shame. I mean, I have enjoyed jazz for all my life, and I was not even aware that jazz was last weekend. You know, it's a shame to hear him talk about, oh, it's a new brand and it takes time. How can you destroy something that we created for so long and then say it's a new brand? You know, it's just a shame.
But here's the problem I have with that. There is not one St. Lucian who you could find that could not see how obvious it was that this thing was going to flop. And that is the problem I have with St. Lucians, on both sides of the political divide. The Prime Minister says the sky is green. We all know from time immemorial that the sky is blue. And yet somehow people are choosing to believe obvious stupidity.
Well, it's a shame. We have characters in Viewfort bearing the name of fruits like carrots and cabbages and stuff like that.
That's vegetables.
You know, perpetuating the Prime Minister's nonsense. This is just, I mean, it's a shame. Anyway, gentlemen, let me just use this platform to urge St. Lucians to show up tomorrow at 3 o'clock, because that is where we need to be to listen to the truth and how we need to turn the country around back to some stable, you know, governance. Thank you very much.
They're going to have a rally for their party. We are going to come out, whether it is red, yellow, black, white, all cultures, all political affiliations, no political affiliations, all for St. Lucia. That's the difference.
Yeah, but I believe that we are not on a good path. Yes? And we were addressing ourselves to this whole airport tax business. We are making St. Lucia a more expensive destination. And tourists, they always have choices. Right now, more countries are embracing tourism as an engine for economic growth, so the landscape has become more competitive. So when you increase that, it does not put us in a favorable position. It would increase the ticket price of the speculators that would go, and of course the increase would be passed on to the consuming public. No doubt that decrease of VAT from 15% to 12.5% would make absolutely no sense. At the same time, you're increasing the fuel prices.
But with the fuel prices, let's be honest, there must be inflation in terms of supermarkets because the cost in freight to bring things down. You must have fishermen paying much more for gas.
That's correct.
The leader of the opposition pointed out that a minibus driver could find himself paying upwards of over $20,000 more per year based on increase on that $1.50 increase.
That's correct. That's correct. So in essence, what they promised during the campaign, they have made it worse. They have not made things better for people in this country. They have made it worse. And even the poor people who were not involved in that will now pay the price. You don't need to have a boat. You don't need to have a minibus. You don't need to have a car to pay higher prices by virtue of the fact that those buses that go out in the remote areas to sell their goods would definitely have to pass on the increased cost of the operations to the consuming public.
Good afternoon. This is Politically Incorrect.
Yeah, good afternoon, Christopher.
Good afternoon.
I mean, something that concerns the entire nation of St. Lucia. The Prime Minister would choose to go down to Viewfort and speak to his supporters, take time off from the business of the country.
And not take questions.
And go down to Viewfort. So evidently he's going to preach to the converted. He's going to speak to those people who are deliberately choosing to remain ignorant.
Yep.
Because if you declare you made a lot of noise, you had the best thing for St. Lucia, the best gift, why not reveal that gift given an opportunity? He flatly denied that the document was authentic, yet he has yet to release the real document.
And he has also...
No, I must be really think, Chris, that people are as stupid as those people.
Is he wrong so far? Is he wrong so far? Because all of us, myself included, were saying that this is a tourist, right? Not like, because we say it's not anything racial, because there are a lot of white people in Saint Lucia, but even he never understood or never valued Saint Lucia. Right?
I mean, where does Alan...
But he's where he is now because he must have understood us to an extent.
People are taking part in a national protest, and I'm sure this week no minister has to travel. No minister has to go to Switzerland, Europe, China, Mexico. I'm sure all of them are in St. Lucia. But you know what, Alan Chasney? The longest rope has an end. Okay? Everything is cyclical. Nothing is written in stone. By the time people realize what you are doing to St. Lucia, it's going to be too late. And it's not only going to be SLP supporters that are going to cry. Everybody is going to cry. And the only ones who that are going to be saved are the ones enjoying the 30 pieces of taxpayers' money. These are the only ones who are going to be spared. But the rest of St. Lucia, follow this man blindly. Okay? Apologize and put posterior before patrimony. And at the end, according to the Guy Joseph, we will all cry. The only person who will be spared are the 5. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. But to me, one of the things that I've realized, I've never seen such a deliberate marginalization of poor people, indigent people, social programs gutted. And they're pretending that they're retooling, but they really are. I mean, the attack on the fish market in Bonn, right? So, and this is the thing. As a leader, I would have thought that it would have been important to give people an assurance that when they go home and they talk to their husbands or their wives or their children, that they have a bit of confidence in where they're going. The first rule of leadership, to communicate that. And you have, whether it is the staff at Radio Saint Lucia, look, they just let go 8 people from this government call center, right?
And they denied it.
And here's the best part, no notification, nothing. They just tell them, they just hear rumors and the people go home. You have farmers that don't know what's going to happen. Even the people who are supposed to be getting on buses to go to the United Workers' Party rally have no clue what the man is doing, because they're not only not reading, but the truth seems to be changing every 5 seconds. Or not the truth, the rhetoric seems to be changing. So I don't understand. There's so many thousands of people in anxiety.
The fact remains that there is the reality of governing this country. This current administration has no idea. They're clueless as to how to deal with the business of the state. So they're playing politics. They're still in campaign mode. So they run to Viewfort, get all their supporters. Out of the 40-something people who voted for them, get a few thousand, if they can get them, to go down to Viewfort and say that people support the government and people support DSH. That is what's going on there. Instead of, retreating from that position, engaging the people in a meaningful way, make the necessary adjustments that will be more palatable, and let's move forward. No, they have to grandstand, everybody.
But here's the question. How, so far it has worked. Could you have ever seen, do you believe, let's take it, I'm telling you brass tacks. I believe if Ubaldas was joking and it was a Labour Party in office, right, and attacking the A-level, all of the UWP, United Packer and Minerva and all of them attacking the A-level college, right, all these students and so on, not only even if Ubaldas was fired, but after that, the Labour Party would have still taken blows over that. I believe that there's no way that you all could have attacked the church. And can you imagine this day and age, you can attack a priest, right? You can attack a pastor, you can attack an archbishop, you can attack all of them. Tell them they're fat, they this, they that, the other, make fun of their surname and all kinds of stuff like that. And then force them to genuflect and apologize to you. You can go after the National Trust, boldface. You can do these things. Look, you just heard the Prime Minister today talk about speedboat at Tulsi's house, when we all know the boat was with the head of the, head of Invest Saint Lucia, who's been paid to hold the boat. So I don't understand, and is actually the broker to sell. So it's almost like it's an alternate reality. Up is down, left is right. I don't get it. Honestly, I've never seen it this coarse before. Good afternoon. This is Politically Incorrect.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I want to wish you all well. But
Thank you.
At the same time, there are 2 things I want to put to you all. Honorable Alva Baptiste.
Yes, good afternoon.
I would like to know why the main road in your constituency of Laborie, which was part of, that was signed so that this road could be built from the police station up to the bridge. It has not been done. But I see a little bit of concrete being poured into some holes right in front of your office. Can you tell us why this is so and why Alan Louisy Street is in such a state when this was part of the project? The other thing is, Chris, I cannot understand why St. Lucians, even if they do not have a degree, like a master's, a bachelor's, a PhD, and we have so many of them these days, to tell me that right now we cannot see the harm that is being done to our country, whether you are black or blue or yellow or white. This is our country. Why are we refusing to take a stand for the good of St. Lucia? In the next 99 years, Chris, we will not be there, but our grandchildren will be there. If this deal comes through, it will be our grandchildren and great-grandchildren who will judge us and see how really stupid we were, that we didn't stand up for them and we allowed our country to descend into the slough of despond. And the last one, Chris, a few talks about, you said that we should listen to both sides.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, Chris, but please, I have a problem. I cannot keep my TV on when Guy Joseph is talking. I switch off. So if you can tell me how to prevent this, I will be happy. Thank you all.
Thank you, Colin. Okay,
Yes.
we're running out of time, so
Yes.
I wanted you to address what she
Yes,
said.
certainly. I mean, clearly, the Laborian would know the history of development in the Laborie constituency. Every time the Labour Party is in office, we make progress. Every time the United Workers' Party gets into office, everything is stopped. So the road rehabilitation works has come to an abrupt stop. The Laborie market,
As jobs.
the Laborie market that was in the 2015-2016 budget. In the 2016-2017, the full amount from the Taiwanese. So that's not money you're going to raise via bonds or trying to search for it. It was accounted for. It was budgeted for. It disappeared from the 2017-2018 estimates. This is clear victimization. That Laborie is a constituency that has refused to exchange the doctrine of Sir George Charles for the Flambeau doctrine of autocracy and oppression, and we suffer the consequences. But we are very principled people. I have never been hostile toward anybody in the parliament. I cooperate fully in terms of dealing with business in my constituency. No amount of cordiality, no amount of professionalism can convince this government that they must address the pressing but legitimate needs of the people of this country. So it's clear victimization.
So then now, as we go into the streets,
Yes.
what happens tomorrow?
Well, certainly we cannot put any limit to what we are going to end up with by starting the protest. We need to demonstrate, because we need our roads fixed in the constituency. We need the Laborie market to be built. We need the people in Auger to get access to their lands. We put it through Proud, to get access to productive assets. You have a number of female farmers that are going through a very difficult time with Invest St. Lucia. That's why we put it in Proud, to ensure that we reduce asset poverty in our constituency so that they are able to produce and sell and take care of themselves. We need to return the nice workers to work. We must give them back their jobs. We need the contractors, the St. Lucian contractors, to get paid for the work done. We need to ensure that we protect Vieux Fort and the lands. We need to protect our international airport. So we cannot remain silent and say, listen, you know, elections was on the 6th of June, they won. We gave them enough space to maneuver. But it has come to a point that what they are doing is quite risky. And all of us are on board this flight. And I alluded to the Air France 447 flight. How through absolutely no good reason, 228 lives were lost just because of carelessness. And I see the very same thing happening today. So we cannot just sit idly by and allow the victimization to continue, to allow people to be out of jobs and cannot take care of their families. So we are going to start this protest to return normalcy to this country. And whatever we have to do within the parameters of the law and within the parameters of democracy to return stability to this country, we shall do. And there will be absolutely no rest for us until that objective is met.
On that note, folks, it's a very simple thing. Tomorrow, history is going to be made one way or the other. We are either going to continue to be the Helen of the West Indies, or we are going to be a nation that is referred to as the Pearl of the Caribbean. I know where I will stand. I hope you will stand with us, simply because while they want to rally for party, we are rallying for country and protesting so that we have the future that we all deserve. Thank you. This has been Politically Incorrect.